A great evening to you. Warm welcome to Business Live. Coming up in this bulletin, Bank of Ghana expresses commitment to firmly stabilize the Cedi, insisting it's the surest way to aid foreign exchange regulations compliance.
The key thing, fundamental, is to ensure we have stability. And when you have stability, all of these other peripheral challenges you have will be minimized. You perhaps will not be able to eliminate them completely, but they will definitely be minimized. And that is only when you are able to maintain durable stability.
But our business is faring so far under the impressive run of the Cedi. We are live with the business community. Also in this bulletin, raised to avert a national power shutdown is on as Energy Minister John Jinapor scrabbles to find billions of cedis to purchase liquid fuels to power electricity generating plants.
With you, Chairman. Today, as I sit here, this morning, my headache is how to get the next parcel of liquid fuel. The fuel we have to take us 2.6 days.
Plus, new data published by the Ghana Export Promotion Authority shows non-traditional exports dipped by 2.8% in 2024.
The marginal dip is primarily linked to reduced exports in iron and steel products to ECOWAS region. Yet, we registered encouraging gains in several other sectors.
We have details of these and many more lined up for you. Please stay on. Thanks so much for your time. I am Pius Kojobaka, and looking at our stories, the Bank of Ghana has given the firm assurance that it remains committed to rolling out the required measures aimed at stabilizing the Cedi. It argues that this might be one of the surest ways to aid compliance with foreign exchange regulations. First Deputy Governor of the Bank of Ghana, Dr. Mumuni Zakari, has been speaking on PM Express Business Edition, which airs tonight at 9 p.m. on the Joy News channel.
The key thing, fundamental, is to ensure we have stability. And when you have stability, all of these other peripheral challenges you have will be minimized. You perhaps will not be able to eliminate them completely, but they will definitely be minimized. And that is only when you are able to maintain durable stability. Yes.
You think that for you, the most important thing is stabilize the local currency, ensure confidence in the local currency, all the other things will fall in place?
Precisely the point I am making. Just this week, Governor was sharing an experience with us when somebody was going to buy, a vehicle and went with dollar bills to buy it. And then the vehicle, seller said they didn't want, he should come and pay them in cedis. He went to the Forex Bureau to ask that they change this Forex into cedis for him. And when he got the rate they were giving him, because they were also expecting the rate to still fall, was so low that this person
more dollars to still get that same quantity of cedis.
Precisely. So at the end of it all, it just depends on how well you manage the overall macro, and then confidence will come to the Cedi, and you will not force anybody to hold the Cedi. They will hold it.
So you believe that build confidence in the Cedi, and that is what you think you're doing now?
Precisely what we are doing.
Do I get the impression that, and from your colleagues who are financial market who feed you the data as well, are we seeing that sudden shift from people who were in the past quoting stuff in dollars, demanding dollars, now gravitating towards the Ghana Cedi?
This is what is happening
on the market.
And when the stability is sustained, you will even see more of that. Precisely what is happening, and it will be in your own interest to do so as a business person.
What advice do you have to the business people out there? Let me use the expression about the Dalton Thomas. And even to quote the executive of one of the Ghana Private Road Transport Union, and even GPRTU, yes, and then even GUTA as well. They said that, George, we have seen this in before, and therefore we are not moved by what the Bank of Ghana is saying. We are not.
All right, George, we are happy with that interview with the First Deputy Governor. You can watch the full interview at 9 p.m. today on the Joy News channel. But we want to explore this angle. How have businesses fared under the impressive run of the Cedi so far? And we want to engage the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries, Shonam Apelu, for his perspective on this matter. Thanks so much, Shonam, for agreeing to speak to us on Business Live. Now, the city has had a good run for the past couple of months now with a consistent appreciation. Generally, how has that impacted on your operations, you would say?
Thank you, Pius, and good afternoon to your cherished listeners. So, if you follow our advocacy, you'd have observed that the city, the stability of the city has been one of the biggest issues we've been concerned about. So, to the extent that the city is appreciating, it's extremely welcome. We're very excited as industry, and our prayer to appreciate, as it were. But it's important to clarify that our core really has been stability, okay? So that if the cedi is 10 Ghana cedi to $1, we want that to be stabilized for a long time. That allows us to plan. You know, if the movement, if the Forex movement that really for the regulators to ensure that they take steps to just stabilize the currency. Because mind you, when the cedi appreciates, there are also people who would lose out. People who export, they lose out. So what really we want is stability of the cedi. That's very important for us. And really, that's what we believe that monetary policy should be geared towards, to ensure that we have a more stabilized regime. But that notwithstanding, this is a good time. It's a good time because it allows us to plan better. We import, most of our raw materials are imported, about 70% of our raw materials are imported, and we normally will stock. So for now, we have all stocks that we're still using to produce. In the immediate terms, we may not have a lot of results to report to you in the immediate terms because we're still using the stocks that we already have, so we're still producing as it were. Our hope is that if this continues, it's easier for us to have the appreciation of cedi impact price in the market, because in the next cycle of purchasing of the raw materials, we will definitely make sure that we would have to spend fewer cedi in buying the raw materials. And naturally, that should impact the eventual price that we give our consumers. So in the medium to long term, this would impact the industrial economy. But at the immediate terms, the impact is very minimal.
The impact is very minimal, you say, and of course, you are also calling for stability of the cedi. But again, I want to get a sense from you how these exporters under your leadership are bearing the brand of the appreciation of the cedi, if I may put it that way.
Well, it's not a good time for most of these importers who have their receivables in dollars. It's not a good time for them. However, you realize that they've also had their good day in the past. I mean, they've enjoyed really well when the cedi was depreciating. So, but that notwithstanding, all of us agree that once it is stabilized, it's easier for them to also measure their expectation, okay? Because they have invested a lot of money and would naturally project an expectation of how much they should be receiving in order to pay their supplies and debtors and so on.
All right,
so because of the appreciation, that expectation is affected negatively. Hello?
I can hear you.
Hello?
Chonam. I can.
Pius, are you with me?
I'm with you.
Yes, so I'm saying, so I'm just saying that our folks that export are negatively affected because they have a set of expectations based on the prevailing rate. But to the extent that the cedi, depreciates, and what it means is that they are affected negatively because the money, the receivables in dollars would obviously will reduce as it's changed to the cedis, so that they will be affected. But that notwithstanding, we do understand that this is business and this is business environment, and we are always willing to adjust. what is important, as I mentioned, is the stability of the city, not the dancing of the city.
Very well.
We want it stable.
Very well.
Thank you.
Quickly on this before you wrap up with me. We know the Bank of Ghana has come out to clarify the over-the-counter cash withdrawals in foreign currency, saying they are allowed, rejecting earlier statement by a board member, Isaac Adongo. And I want to get a sense of that from you as a business. As you know, we know you fairly transact business in foreign notes. Now the central bank has come out to clear that, well, you can't do counter foreign, what do you call it, currencies when you go to the banks. And I guess that should be some sort of respite to you.
No?
Madam.
Yes. Say the last sentence, please. The line
I am seeking to get your thoughts about the central bank's clarification on the over-the-counter cash withdrawals in foreign currency, saying that, well, they are allowed, rejecting earlier statement contrary to the position taken by the Bank of Ghana by the board member of the BoG, Isaac Adongo. And I want to know what you make of that.
No, look, the Bank of Ghana's clarification is extremely welcome. I mean, it helps give confidence to the market that, in fact, we can continue to do business. You see, we're in a global village, right? Whilst we encourage the use of the Cedi, we are exposed to the vagaries of the external economy. As I mentioned earlier, 70% of everything we use in Ghana is imported. So naturally, you need a dollar. So if I put a dollar in my cash dollar in my dollar account, I should be able to withdraw it, as it were, for transactionary purposes. And so for us, we thank the central bank for coming out to clarify. Our hope is that every Tom, Dick, and Harry in the market would go with the central bank's clarification, and so that we can continue to give confidence to the business environment.
Thank you very much, Chairman, for your time here on Business Live. He's the Greater Accra Regional Chairman of the Association of Ghana Industries. Chairman, pleasure speaking to us. And we want to stay a while longer on this because commercial banks are urging foreign currency depositors to remain calm, insisting they remain committed to facilitating legitimate withdrawals. Now, this was contained in a statement issued by the Ghana Association of Banks after the BoG came out to dissociate itself from comments made by Isaac Adongo. Let's get onto Zoom and speak to the Chief Executive of the Association, John Ewa, for his subject concern on this as well. John, thank you so much for speaking to me on Business Live. And again, what do you make of the statement issued by the Bank of Ghana? Do I have John on? Rather unfortunate, it seems we've lost John Ewa, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, and we want to get his take on this very subject matter we are discussing, which has to do with the directive or clarification given by the Bank of Ghana in relation to the... All right, so let's shift focus to some other stories. The race to avert a national power shutdown is on as Energy Minister John Jinapor scrambles to find billions of cedis to purchase liquid fuels to power electricity generating plants. The minister told MPs on the Energy Committee that the country currently has less than 3 days to liquid fuel in stock. While some more fuel has been ordered, funds are not readily available to pay for this. The minister is also expected to make desperate last-ditch efforts to Cabinet to secure the necessary funds to make these payments. Listen.
Wrong with you, Chairman. Today, as I sit here, this morning, my headache is how to get the next parcel of liquid fuel. The fuel we have to take us 2.6 days. We've placed order for fuel, but it has to be paid. We've procured some fuel on credit and working with the Ministry of Finance to pay. But the truth is that the Ministry of Finance also has its limits. And so we'll be going to Cabinet to discuss how we can improve on the sector. And that is why we are pushing for some private sector participation in ECG's operations. It does not entirely solve the problem, but it takes us to another level. Because if the collections are reduced from the 40% to say 5%, it means that we'll be collecting more. Cabinet has also adopted a position, and we'll brief you, Chairman. All MMDAs are supposed to pay for their electricity bills. They have to budget for it. We've identified what we call critical institutions. They include the health sector, the education sector, the security agencies, and the presidency. Even with that, so if you take the health sector, it's the theaters, the laboratories, the wards that will be exempted. If you take the educational institutions, dormitories are not part. Restaurants are not part. Only lecture theaters. And so we've classified that. And Cabinet is granting the approval and will publish that. Even what we term as critical institutions, the Minister of Finance will have to budget for it and pay.
Let's go back to our earlier story where I was telling you about commercial banks urging foreign currency depositors to remain calm, insisting, well, they are committed to facilitating legitimate withdrawals. And thankfully, the Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, John Iwa, joins us via phone for a conversation on this. John, thank you so much for rejoining, this time around via phone. But I was asking what you make of the statement issued by the Bank of Ghana in relation to the subject matter.
Thank you very much. I think the statement has been issued at the very right time. It was prompt, and it's basically an effort by the central bank to ensure that these media discussions on foreign currency does not degenerate into areas where people begin taking decisions based on their perception of what potentially Bank of Ghana will be coming out with. The statement was clear that it's not been discussed. They are not even considering anything in that regard. At least for now, there's nothing. And that customers are supposed to be going about their normal business, the way they transact banks. They should just continue as they did yesterday, as they did the day before, and as they are going to do tomorrow.
And subsequently, you've also come out to issue a statement urging calm among members.
Yes, we have, because in the morning we observed some unusual movement, which we attribute to some actions being taken by customers in response to the media interview that was granted by the Honorable MP and the board member of Bank of Ghana. So we had to, on the back of Bank of Ghana's press release, we had to also issue a statement to reassure customers that they have nothing to fear. If you have a legitimate transaction that you need foreign currency to execute, the bank stand ready to support you.
Mr. Wan, what do you tell those who say that some of your members have introduced some measures that has made it difficult for foreign currency holders to access accounts because of the cash reserve ratio requirements by the Bank of Ghana?
I wouldn't attribute that to the cash reserve ratio per se. But what as banks we want to achieve is to drive the right behavior. As a country, we have one currency, and that currency is called the Ghana Cedi. So if you do not have any need for foreign currency, we do not expect customers to be approaching banks requesting foreign currency because of their view of where the currency is going to move. We do not want to amplify that kind of speculation. And that is why if you are looking for foreign currency from a bank, as the law requires, banks will ask for documentation, the justification. If you are traveling, do you have a valid visa? Do you have your ticket purchased? Then on the back of that, the banks can support you. We don't want people to think that they can begin storing value in foreign currency instead of our base currency, which we all know is doing very well at the moment.
John Iwa, Chief Executive of the Ghana Association of Banks, thank you so much for speaking to us on Business Live. Still watching Business Live, we have more for you after this break. Hello, welcome back to Business Live. The Ghana Export Promotion Authority has announced Ghana recorded non-traditional exports earnings of $3.83 billion in 2024. Now, this is a 2.87% dip in earnings recorded in 2023. According to the Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Francis Kojo Arthur, the decline is as a result of reduction in exports of iron and steel to ECOWAS region. He was speaking at the launch of the 2024 Annual Non-Traditional Export Statistics Report.
In 2024, Ghana's non-traditional exports recorded earnings of $3.83 billion, reaching 152 countries. The manufacturing and semi-processed sectors contributed over 83% to total earnings, while the agricultural sector increased its contribution to 13.48%. The industrial arts and crafts sector also recorded significant growth of nearly 23%, indicating a global appetite for Ghana's creative and cultural exports. According to Chief Executive of the Ghana Export Promotion Authority, Francis Kojo Kwatin-Atta, diversifying exports will help increase the country's earnings.
Our reach into Africa also remains strong. In fact, Africa accounted for 45% of all non-traditional exports, with the ECOWAS region making up over 94% of Ghana's exports to the aftermarket. This affirms our strategy to deepen regional trade and leverage trade protocols and regimes like the ECOWAS Trade Liberalization Scheme and AFTA. Looking ahead, GEPA is committed to aggressively implement the Accelerated Export Development Program. We will expand our market intelligence activities, forge new trade relationships, and work with stakeholders to boost medical tourism.
Deputy Minister of Trade, Agribusiness and Industry, Samson Ahi, called on stakeholders in the various sectors to pursue value addition to help increase the country's export volumes.
With the advent of the agribusiness, as I said, most of these export commodities are done in their raw state. They don't add value to them. And so if you're exporting a commodity without adding value to it, certainly the price will not be the same as if you have added value to it. And so with agribusiness, where we are going to process farm produce to add value and package them well, it will attract more value. And that's why I said that if we implement the agribusiness, the earnings from export will go up. And certainly that will increase the annual earnings that we will get. And so I'm sure if we do well, we'll go up from the 3.8 billion that we did in 2024.
The authority also indicated that it will be implementing several measures to help increase Ghana's non-traditional exports, including supporting the implementation of the Accelerated Export Development Program.
Director of the Institute of Statistical, Social and Economic Research, Professor Peter Quartey, says recent calls for price reductions are justified following the appreciation of the Ghana Cedi. Speaking to Joy Business at the launch of the Youth in Indigenous Enterprises in the informal sector, he said businesses should begin reflecting the stronger Cedi in their pricing, especially for imported goods.
It's justified to some extent in the sense that we know that in Ghana prices are sticky downwards. Anytime exchange rate depreciates, quickly traders increase. But as soon as it appreciates, then there's some sluggishness, slowness in reducing. But we also appreciate the fact that some have imported using the old exchange rate to import. So they need to sell, others are taking advantage, they are importing at a lower rate. So there could be some competition, and we should see some gradual reduction in the prices of goods and services. Let's also not forget that some take advantage. There are people who take cash in even when the exchange rate has not depreciated significantly. They always cite the exchange rate and keep increasing prices. So all of this we need to educate the market women, just like Guta is doing, educate people on some of these things so that they don't continue to increase prices, artificially create higher prices. I think a lower price, sometimes if you reduce your price, you're able to even sell more. Ghana is noted for waste. In fact, I read that fruits, for instance, we waste so much of our fruits, waste so much of our vegetables. Why? Because the prices are so high, people are not buying. So eventually it will go waste. So why not reduce the price slightly, sell everything, and then you can restock and be profitable.
Thanks so much for being part of Business Life for today. I am Pius Kojo Baka. We have more for you when you log on to myjoyonline.com/business. Grateful serving you.